welcome to the RG DFS Tournament Takes podcast. I'm your host, Chris Kirkwood. I'm here with my two boys, the notorious one, Derek Farnsworth. Also, TJ is helping us out. The Taysom Hill of RotoGrinders, I would call you. The Swiss Army knife. The man who produced. I can't call him Puffy anymore. You know, those times are out. But Taysom Hill is a good fit, I think. You know, does some of everything and does it all quality. So happy to have you on. Week 15, Bobby is still out going through some personal stuff and is now needs a new computer and is waiting on that. So hopefully he'll be back next week. Should be back next week. But anyways, you got us three. We're going to talk some football. We got 12 games. The season-long playoffs are going down, so Noto said he would be happy to answer any of your season-long questions in chat if you want to throw them in. TJ said, yeah, he would be down for some of that too as well. Yeah, we got a nice slate. How are we doing, boys? I'm the man, I'm just going to throw us right out there, who was adamant about playing Josh Allen last week, and then by Sunday morning, I was on Will Levis, and so it was a brutal day for me. I smashed, even though I gave out a losing UFC pick, I did smash UFC betting. I ended up being all right for the weekend, but man, it was frustrating. I should have just stuck to my guns with Josh Allen. But how'd you do, Noto?
Yeah, I mean, on the show, we're all saying, hey, play the cheap running backs. Jamie and Josh Allen had the best fantasy outing of any quarterback in the history of DFS. But I played AOC instead, got hurt, and that was my week.
Yeah, both of us, man. Like I needed your help, you needed my help. We could have been a lot better. TJ did, from what I heard through the grapevine, did play a Josh Allen team that ended up getting all his money back from all the other teams that he had. But how'd you do, TJ?
Yeah, I broke even on the weekend, so that's, good enough to take you on to the next one. I played about 20 lineups and then a 3-entry max as well. One of my 3-entry maxes was Josh Allen. One of my 20 maxes was Darnold, Addison, and Jefferson together. So good enough to break even. Nothing super exciting, but as long as we're not losing money, we're happy.
Yes, sir. Well, we've got this is another interesting slate here. We've got one game that really is the creme de la creme, the highest total of the week by a large margin, by like 7 or 8 points. The Bills Lions, and has a lot of playoff implications and should be a great game in general. Buffalo traveling to Detroit. So excited for that game, but we do have a lot of other stuff we got to get to and with games here, but they're all lower total, but we do have some strong plays. I feel like it's not like we don't have the high end running back chalk that we usually have. So I think there's a lot. It's more spread out. And I think there's a lot we can do to get a little weird and also have a lot of upside at the running back position this week. But big picture overview, Noto. How's this slate looking to you?
Yeah, I do love the Bills-Lions game. You mentioned the huge total. Doesn't look like it's going to carry a ton of ownership. I mean, Josh Allen will probably be fairly popular, but outside of that, nobody loves pairing him with any of his wideouts. We'll talk about them here in a bit. And then on the Detroit side, the running backs never get any love. Amon-Ra St. Brown's not going to be all that popular. So I'm planning to be overweight on that one. And then from a roster construction standpoint, it just seems like you can go cheap quarterback, you can go cheap running backs, you can go cheap tight ends. There's a couple tight end injuries that have opened up some punts there. So I think any type of roster construction is viable. So I think ownership's going to be pretty spread out this week.
I love a good bargain. So we have bargains all across the board. And that's also why I love Costco. And J3 in chat is saying they changed the muffins. Is this true? Does anyone know about this? I don't know about this. I'm actually going there this afternoon after this show. So I will check it out.
And they have French toast bagels. Just tried those this morning. They are pretty good.
So here's what
I can't speak for the American Costco, but here they've been rotating the bakery stuff recently, and I like it. I don't like, as much as it's nice to know you can just go in and find something, they keep the staples, but they've been rotating a few other things, and I like it. I instead of the variety cookie pack, they just had the full cookie pack of all chocolate chip. That's kind of what I'm looking for.
You know what's a good day at Costco? Like when I'm snapping my fingers and everything's running. I'm running good, running pure. Is when I get a 2-pack of steaks. When there's like 2-pack of steaks there, like because that's all I need for when I hate having to pay for 4, 3, and then and putting them in the freezer or whatnot. But the muffins. What I hate about the muffins is you have to buy 2 huge packages. And if you ever tried to take just one package through the register, they won't even let you pay for 2 and just take the one. Because they made me like hold up in line one time, wouldn't let me leave. Craziness. But anyway, all right. Enough of that. TJ, how's the slate looking to you?
I like it quite a bit. It's so spread out and filled with pay up options. I feel like the last few weeks we've been stuck with, some of the best players in the league, best fantasy options on buys and in primetime games. And these main slates, we only have like a third to half of the pay up options we want to pay for. And this week we kind of have all of them. So it's a really fun one to be able to look at the projected ownership and see guys like Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, and Jaden Daniels, Joe Burrow combining for a 10% ownership, for Devon Achane to be single digit, the Detroit running backs to be single digit, a few cheap options to look for at running back. And then it's the exact same at receiver. We're looking at single digit Nico Collins, single digit Tyreek Hill, single digit Terry McLaurin and Mike Evans. Like, it's going to be a fun week. And it's spread out. You can take your stands, go where you want to go, and they're not going to be super chalky.
This is the spread out slate. This feels like a total max entry crushing slate. But all right, let's take care of the housekeeping real quick. Let me see the ad reads. I gotta do all right. So let's talk about Splash. We've been talking about it all season long, but if you haven't signed up for Splash Sports yet, you still have time. The time is now. Code ROTO10, and when you play, you get $100 in quick picks, and you'll get another $50. Once again, go to splashsports.com/RotoGrinders homepage. RG combo plug. DFS is all about value. This is the busiest time in the sports calendar, which means it's the perfect time to sign up for RG combo. For a limited time, get your first month of combo access for just $79.99, and that's just $5 more than NBA Premium. Don't pass up this great value. And then we also got the RG props and pick'em stuff going on our site. Get extra picks from all your favorite sites of props and pick'em. Our elite sports betting and fantasy pick'em package features bets and analysis from your favorite RG experts. Props and pick'em also includes tools and data powered behind our hard-working projections team. Chris Jimino is the GOAT, and so don't make a bet without it. All right, 12 games. Like I said, Bills, Lions, 54.5 point total. Lions minus 2.5. Competitive game. Should be a shootout. Josh Allen just really cemented his MVP standing last week, but that can change week to week. But that should be a great game. Also, what's great about this is that the Bills don't stop the run, and Detroit loves to run it. So it's like this game, there should be a lot of offensive success in this game, both ways. Then we've got the next highest totals all the way down at 46.5 points. It's Cincinnati at Tennessee. Cincinnati's 5-point favorites. We've got Miami traveling to Houston. Is Stroud the Stroud that we knew and loved from last season? Is he coming back? Is he ever going to come back? I hope so, because he hasn't been playing. He hasn't looked that great this season. But they're minus 3, 46.5 point total. New England at Arizona. Kyler Murray's going to be chalk. I think he's probably going to be the cash play QB this week. That's what it's looking like to me at this point. Arizona's minus 6, 46.5 point total. And then we got Tampa with the Swiss cheese defense heading to the Chargers. Chargers are minus 3, 45.5 point total. Really quickly, I'll just look at the Thorman snaps and pace, and I'll cross-reference that with Blitz most plays. Buffalo and Detroit, Thorman has as up in pace, obviously. KC and Cleveland, Dallas at Carolina, Indy at Denver. Cardi, from most plays standpoint, has KC at Cleveland. surprise, surprise, he always throws in the New Orleans game in the Dome. So it's Washington at New Orleans with a bum Jake Haener at a QB. So that's interesting to talk about. Then also he has Dallas at Carolina and Indy at Denver. All right. We're going to go start the running back position, head over to QBs, stack it up with our wide receivers, talk some tight ends, talk some defense, build a lineup, call it a day. Here we are, running back position. From a chalk standpoint, Chuba Hubbard is getting a lot of love because Blackshear, who's the back that's going to be out? Jonathan Brooks is already. Yeah, he has an injury, so this should be fully backfield for Chuba Hubbard. And this guy, he's a baller. Chuba's a baller. He's cheap, and it's also a really solid matchup against Dallas. And it's just also the other way around, the same thing. Dallas has Rico Dowdle has been taken over the backfield. Zeke has just been phased out for the most part. Maybe some annoying goal line stuff, but really phased out. And that's the other side of the game. Carolina has been the rushing defense to attack all season long. Then we have Rachaad White, who these games are important for Tampa, and that's why he's coming off of a good week last week. We talked about him, almost 25 fantasy points, 17 rushing attempts for 90 yards, had a tutty, 3 targets. They trust him in the pass protection, and that's why he's getting so much action. Bucky Irving is still a little banged up, so we have to monitor that situation. But looks like I think we were right. We said White over Parker, and I think that continues on here. James Conner is also in play. Chase Brown, Joe Mixon, Brian Robinson, and then Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley. We can all bitch about Alvin Kamara. So, Noto, who are your key personnel? Who'd you write up this week for the running back position?
Yeah, so I have the chalk tag this week in Chuba Hubbard. You mentioned Jonathan Brooks being out. Miles Sanders is on IR too, so he's going to have very little competition for touches against the Cowboys, who've been a bottom 5 run defense this season, and they're favored. I mean, how bad are the Cowboys that the Panthers are favored in this game? So I really like him. I like Rico Dowdle on the other side of that game too. You mentioned Carolina, bottom 2 run defense, no matter what metric you're looking at. I think they're both pretty good chalk. I think Chase Brown's going to be popular. We've seen him just be a 20-plus touch guy ever since Zach Moss went down with his injury. Then I'll obviously have to monitor the injuries to Bucky Irving, like you mentioned, and Breece Hall as well. If Breece Hall ends up being out, he did practice fully on Friday, but they were saying he was going to miss multiple weeks, and now I don't know why he was at practice. But if he's out, I might go back to Braylon Allen against the Jags. They've been so bad this year. And for tournaments, I really love flipping the build a little bit, paying up a running back. Saquon was really popular last week. Now nobody wants to play him. They're still trying to get him the rushing title. They're still, he's still in the MVP race. And Derrick Henry against the Giants, we finally get him in December with that offensive line. I think they're 2 of my favorite tournament plays of the week.
Massive team total. Regarding Breece, the Rappaport has come out and said that he's expected to play. We've all been burned once or twice through the years from Rappaport reports. I
think their coach even said this week that they think there's a good chance he plays.
Yeah, I'm monitoring this. I'm up against Murder Inc., Irv Gotti, and our high stakes season long, and Dean and I and another friend, and we have Breece and Brent. We have Breece and Allen. So, man, we want Breece, but clicking him, starting him is going to be kind of scary. All right, TJ, who are you liking?
Yeah, Derrick Henry is going to be my favorite spend up of the group. With Devon Achane probably coming in number 2. Houston's defense has been absolutely terrible, and so I really like Achane at low ownership this week. I will be prioritizing Hubbard and Chase Brown as my main 2. I'll eat the chalk on Hubbard just because it's such a good spot. If I'm choosing between one running back in that game, and I only get Hubbard or Dowdle, I'm definitely going Hubbard. Dowdle, if he gets steamed up, I'll probably be underweight, but if he's really going to be projecting for less than 20% ownership, then I'll definitely be getting to him as well. I don't mind playing them together. James Conner is going to be chalky, but Kyler Murray's probably going to be the highest on quarterback too, so it still works as kind of like a nice pivot off of that. I like both Detroit running backs. I wouldn't play them together this week just because there's so many great options at running back, but both Dave Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs are in play. Brian Robinson at 6,200 going against the Saints. No Austin Eckler. Absolutely great spot for Brian Robinson. And then Rachaad White, again, will be a priority if Bucky Irving is out. I'm kind of leaning towards he will be out. And so White is looking like one of the top cheap running back on the slate, sub 6K. I think Sean Tucker, if you're playing a lot of lineups, deserves to still be in the pool because it's 4,300 and you never know when that usage swaps. He's electric, but he fumbles. And so Tucker getting him in there in a few GPP lineups, I think is viable. And like Tank Bigsby had 18 touches last week, and he's going up against the Jets. So I think he's somewhat viable. If whether or not Breece Hall plays, if Hall is out, Isaiah Davis and Braylon Allen both look really solid. And then the last guy I'd want to target is Isaiah Pacheco at 6K because he was back to getting RB1 usage or close to it last week. 14 rush attempts, 4 targets. He got ramped up. He's only 6K. He's probably going to be 7,500 fairly soon. And so we get a chance to get him low owned and at low price. So I like him quite a bit.
Who's that? I missed it.
Isaiah Pacheco.
Okay. People in chat, for what it's worth, are saying that there's some favoritism going on with Chase Brown for you because he's Canadian. I don't know. Just saying. So
I mean, if you've been playing him and based on my favoritism, you've been making a lot of money lately.
Keep it going. I know. He's a beast. Did we mention Mixon?
Mixon and Barkley and Kamara, I'm fading all of them this week. And so Mixon and Barkley are definitely the two I'm most scared of. But Miami's run defense has been very solid, but they give up a lot of passing offense. And so I would much rather play Nico Collins instead of Joe Mixon in this spot. I also want to shout out Savage Styles in chat, checking in, hoping everything is going well here. Appreciate that. On Sunday morning last week, my wife had to get her appendix out and I got back just a little late to produce the NFL show, and nobody knew where I was because I forgot my phone at home. So it was a hectic, chaotic moment, but she is doing very well. It was a couple days of pain, but she's back up, moving around, home, all as well. So appreciate that, checking in, and all is well.
Awesome. Good news. And glad everything's okay. I'm trying to see here who else I can do. So I like Mixon. I feel like basically in games that they win, he usually does well. He's had a couple of down games, but I think the upside is certainly there, and I think he's just falling down the list of ownership. And if this was like 2 weeks ago, we would be jamming him in. So he's a guy I'm definitely looking at. I definitely also, are we off? Is like the industry off base with the ownership from Detroit running backs?
No, I think they'll be that low.
It seems very low in a game with a 54.5 point total. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I get it's tough to pick one or the other. They both could even get there, but
they both get there every week.
Yeah.
What about Charbonnet on FanDuel? He's going to be super popular. Just jam him in.
He's the best play on the slate over there. Kind of buried the lead with that one, but yeah, absolutely. Charbonnet's number one. Good call bringing that up.
Yeah, Tony Pollard's in a great matchup. A little banged up.
Spears is 4,300.
Yeah, it sounds like Pollard's going to play. Can you still go there?
No, but
yeah,
didn't practice Wednesday or Thursday. Wasn't spotted at the media portion of Friday's practice for Pollard.
All right. From what I understand, he has they've done that several times, and he's still played through, and he's always playing through injury. But yeah, he would obviously Spears would shoot up if he were not to play. I need him for season long. All right. Any other guys? So is it super Millie Maker large field play? Ravens blowout. Will they lean on Justice Hill when it's a blowout?
I don't think so because I think they lean on Justice Hill when they're losing.
Yeah.
I know, but like, so what are they? Who's going to be? Say if they are they just going to who's going to be running the ball if they're up freaking 28 points at halftime?
Derrick Henry.
They might try to get Henry back with Barkley in the rushing title.
I think it would be Henry until maybe like fourth quarter if they're up like 35. But again, if that happens, then Henry probably already has 40 fantasy points, so I don't really care. Maybe Keaton Mitchell. They see if he's ready to go, try and get him more involved. I assume he would be the guy.
Yeah, probably. Just spitballing here, just looking over. Any other out there plays?
No, I think as crazy as I want to get would be like Detroit running backs, Isaiah Pacheco, Sean Tucker would be the big sneaky one to try and Millie Maker type things, I think.
Yeah, I like HN.
Yeah, HN up top.
Mostert is back. But yeah, I hear you. I'm not worried. We're worried about that. All right. Shall we move over to quarterback?
Let's do it.
We shall.
Since I didn't give all my quarterback plays away in the preview this week.
Yeah, that was nice. It's nice. Well, it was good. Didn't matter. All right. Kyler Murray chalk against New England, 6-point home favorites. You do have the potential for some rushing. He's going to be paired with McBride a lot, I think. Or can you play Connor and Kyler and just try to the theory of get all the touchdowns?
You could, I think, especially in a cash game setting. But
yeah,
I think his super cheap wide receiver one, who has barely been a wide receiver one, but is seeing more targets, is the guy.
That's the play. Marvin Harrison is the way to play that. I agree there. Justin Herbert is going to be, he gets the dream matchup with Tampa. Was a little banged up, removed from the injury report this week. So I think he looks a lot better this week in this matchup. So I like him. Joe Burrow is obviously going to be chucking whenever he's out there. He's got the elite weapons. I mean, the last 5 weeks in a row, he's been absolutely awesome. Nothing bad to say. Tennessee defense, I'm not really that worried about it. And I'm just worried about Tennessee being able to put up any points. But Cincinnati's defense is so bad, you have to think that they can at least stay in it. But, man, Will Levis is so bad. Awful. Pathetic. Dead to me. Can't play the guy ever again. But, that was painful. Anyway, C.J. Stroud, Tua, Bo Nix is really interesting to me. That game's kind of sneaky, Denver Colts. And then obviously we get the potential for Josh Allen, extremely low-owned, high-priced Lamar Jackson if you want to make a team that way. Jaden Daniels is also – like all the top quarterbacks for the most part are going to be extremely low-owned because of either price or because of the price on the other guys, the cheap Murray and Herbert. So it's tough to even get to like Jameis Winston in this spot against the Chiefs where he should be chucking. But man, how are you attacking this slate, TJ?
So I'm going to start with mentioning a couple cheap options, but for what it's worth, I want to preface it by saying I think this is a week to spend up at quarterback. And by spending up, I mean just even over $6K because there are so many strong options this week. The only guys sub 6K I would consider are, of course, Herbert, but he's going to be chalky, and I don't really like Herbert chalk when he hasn't been running as much lately. Tampa Bay is a great matchup, and he gets McConkey back, so viable for sure. But I do worry about it a little bit. If I play a Herbert lineup, I'm probably going to try and triple stack him because nobody else who plays Herbert's going to do that. So I'll play like McConkey, Johnston, and Smart all together and hope other people only going to do one or two in their Herbert stacks. Winston I loved earlier in the week. Probably going to be losing to Kansas City, throwing the ball a lot. You can't run against Kansas City, but you can pass. But that game's going to be super windy and maybe a little rainy. Rain doesn't bother me a ton, but the wind up to like 25-mile-an-hour gusts Roth has in his weather report, that does worry me for Winston. And then Levis, look, I understand that he was terrible last week, but he's also with chalk last week. He's low owned this week, and he's in the exact same spot.
Exactly the exact same spot, and he sucks.
It's a
Yeah,
better spot.
and like his receivers were high owned last week. They're not this week. It is a okay tournament spot to go back to him, I think. But having said that, then of course you have chalk Kyler Murray. He's going to be the chalk. You play Kyler Murray in cash. If you're going to play him in tournaments, I would say to stack him with both McBride and Harrison. Hope other people are only picking one. But I think it's the above 6K tier that is really great this week. Up top, Josh Allen is my very favorite. He's still projecting for less than 5% ownership. He, throughout his entire career, has not run very much in the beginning of the season. And then at the end of the year in December, he runs a ton. It's been the same case this year in November and December. And Detroit is one of the very best quarterback running matchups in all of football. He's my number one. I think Lamar is so interesting at 1% projected ownership, just in case he's the one who scores the touchdowns and it's not Derrick Henry. Jaden Daniels, exact same thing, sub 5%. Yeah, Brian Robinson might be the guy, but Jaden Daniels could be running those touchdowns in as well, and he could smash that $7,500 price tag.
Yeah, the ownership on those top tier stud quarterbacks is crazy to me this week.
It's just because there's so many to choose from. Like, it's just getting spread out between all of them, and people are so used to paying down at QB all year long. We got the Kyler chalk, we got the Herbert chalk. Even Tua is projecting for almost 10%, who I do love Tua this week as well against Houston. But we're just not used to having this many spend up options. The normal build people do every week is the sub 6K quarterback, one expensive running back, and then a couple of the chalk ones, one expensive receiver, and a couple of the chalk cheap ones. And so we have all these expensive quarterbacks in great spots. How do you choose one when you also have these sub 6K guys that people want to go to? The other two guys I'd be looking at are Joe Burrow, 7,300. Like him a lot. Bo Nix, great matchup against Indy at 6,300. He's been chalk all year long, and now he's just not. And then Tua as well. I mentioned him, but he's going to be a little chalkier, but I do still like him.
What's crazy to me with the high-end guys being so low owned is that it's not hard to play them. Like, we have like mid-range, really strong running back plays. Like, we don't have to pay up for the Kamara this week or whatever. We have really strong wide receiver plays in the mid-range, and we have absolute cheap punt tight ends in play that we'll get to. So it's like, it's not like you can't fit these guys. It's just that people love to see the real Chase and the high end wide receivers in their lineup, and for good reason. But man, QB could separate you this week for sure. What else, Noto?
Yeah, you guys brought up all the best plays. Anthony Richardson at 5,800. He's one of the few guys with 25 plus fantasy plus fantasy point upside. Denver's not the best matchup, especially in Denver, but their defense hasn't been as good the last few weeks. I do love Will Levis. I think it's a better spot than last week because I didn't want to play him. The Jags can't put up points, and we know Cincinnati, they're going to put up points. So I think they're going to be throwing a lot more. And, like TJ mentioned, his receivers, especially Calvin Ridley, not going to be quite as popular as he was last week. The chat's bringing up Aaron Rodgers. Do you guys have any interest there? Two of his receivers are like the best point per dollar options, but nobody wants to play Rodgers with them.
Yeah, I don't want to play the receivers either.
I can't do it.
I'm kind of with you guys.
And I want some some semblance of running with my quarterbacks this week. The only maybe the one I wouldn't play with that doesn't fit the mold. Maybe Burrow doesn't run much either, but I'd play him. I'd potentially play Stroud, but for the most part, I want some guys who will use their legs. And
speaking of that, can I give out my favorite underdog card and or props parlay of the entire week? Because
you have to sign up. You have to make a Patreon, and then you have to sell the Patreon for $5 or $10 and give people access to it. All right, one time, go for it.
It's solely guys we've already talked about. And at the running back position, Chuba Hubbard over 18.5 rushing yards. Over 18.5 rushing attempts. That has gone yards. That has gone up a little bit at some places, up to 19.5. I still don't care. A few people have written it up on Scores and Odds. Grant talked about laddering it up all the way up over 25. So you got Chuba Hubbard over 18.5 rushing attempts. You have Jahmyr Gibbs over 16.5 to 18.5, whatever you find it as, longest rush, because he smashes that every single week. Shout out to Rich Rebar and the Pick Six Show for bringing that up. But throw in your Jahmyr Gibbs longest rush. And then the final one is Josh Allen's rushing yards. You can get it about 33.5, some places 35.5. I think he's going to absolutely smash that this week against Detroit. You can throw in some other ones if you want, but those three are my core building blocks on Underdog and sports betting this week.
All right. Like that. So I'm just going to say this. I hate Will Levis. And the reason why, you know what I hate about him is that he's like jacked. He like looks the part of should be like an awesome QB. He's like jacked.
He looks like Taysom Hill.
Yeah, he's got the hair, like half Trevor Lawrence, half hair, and he doesn't even run. It was just pathetic. Man, he was terrible. But anyway, I'm trying to see here for I think we've covered everyone. Did anyone mention Bryce Young as a way to play off of or would you play him with Chuba, who will be involved in the passing game?
Nobody at quarterbacks more than 15% anyway, so it's not like you're getting huge discount ownership.
I'm just somebody's putting up 40 plus tonight, tomorrow, somebody's going to have 40 plus. I don't think it's going to be Bryce Young.
It ain't going to be Max Jones. It ain't going to be Max Jones. Yeah, Bo Nix could do it. I like Bo Nix. I like that game.
Knicks with Sutton and Vele is a stack I really like this week.
Yep. Anybody interested in Drake May?
Quarterbacks and passing offenses project so well against the Cardinals all the time, and they just never really do anything.
And you know what? The Cardinals also usually don't do much either. That's the problem. But they should this week. Patriots suck. All right, let's go over to wide receiver. From an ownership perspective, it looks like the top play everyone wants to play last week's top play, which was Jamar Chase. He's the expensive one at 8,400. The Jets defense has just been a sieve of what we were expecting this season. Sauce is coming off of, I think, but he's still banged up with I think it's a hamstring injury, and has not played well. And man, he gives up huge pass interference plays all the time. But anyways, Brian Thomas Jr. is just a stud at 5,800. Stinks that he has to have Mac thrown to him, but still has big play upside, 5,800. T. Higgins, if you want to, flop back to T. Higgins, everyone had him last week, and he did nothing. Lad McConkey is going to be popular. If he plays, probably is going to play, but do you think he's going to be injured at all? Do you think we should be playing Quentin Johnson anyway over him, or do you think if they throw him out there, we trust it?
I'm going to trust it, I think, if he's out there.
Yeah. But he's
in full all week.
Massive target share for him. Jerry Jeudy is the big play upside against the Chiefs with Jameis, who's going to have to chuck the ball, keep up with KC. Although it seems like KC just wins by a point every game. Luckily, somehow, crazy. You can bet the points in the money line, just print both sides every week with them. Cortland Sutton. Smashed for getting a little bit more expensive, but definitely deserves it. I mean, just game log watch with this guy and just look at the targets. We're talking 11, 10, 9, 8, 10, 9, just steady 9 targets plus for him, and big play upside as well. They will throw deep and definitely could be a good matchup with the Colts. Calvin Ridley, big play upside, better matchup this weekend, Cincinnati. And then we have a bunch of other plays that I'll let you guys take. So, Noto, who are your key personnel at wide receiver?
Yeah, I do have Ridley tagged. Again, I like that spot at home. Typically, when we get a home underdog, it's good for the passing game. And I think Cincinnati's going to put up some points. At the high end, to get a little bit different, I like Amon-Ra St. Brown. He's getting 11% ownership right now. Gets you access to that Detroit-Buffalo game. The problem with him all season has just been a volume thing. He's had to rely on efficiency because Detroit hasn't had to throw the ball that much. But I think Buffalo's going to put up some points, so I think he's very interesting at 7,600. 8,100 Nico Collins. I know Miami's been pretty tough against wide receivers this season, but man, no Stephon Diggs. It's a home game. I think they're coming off a bye too. I think it could be a smash spot for Nico. And then you mentioned Sutton. I'm always on Sutton. The underlying usage has just been elite all year. I'll probably be overweight on Brian Thomas. I think Terry McLaurin's one of the more interesting tournament plays. If you can get up to him and Jaden Daniels against New Orleans, they traded away Marshawn Lattimore. So I think he's one of those guys that I think he's got 3% ownership right now. He could get you 30+ fantasy points.
Traded him away, and now they're playing him. Because he's on that same Washington team.
That's true, and he's supposed to be.
Yeah, he's finally suiting up.
Yeah,
little revenge spot. That's an easy tease. Yeah, to do a long tease with is the Commanders this week.
I don't have. I'll highlight some other names, but for what it's worth, I think Noto just absolutely nailed it. Like Amon-Ra St. Brown is my favorite spend up. Nico Collins is my second favorite spend up. I'm going to be getting to them as much as I absolutely can. I like Ridley and Brian Thomas Jr. in the mid tier as well. I think Tyreek Hill is in another great spot. People kind of don't seem to realize he's back to looking like Tyreek Hill. He's had 14 targets last game, 9 targets the game before. They're in an absolutely amazing spot. Tua has been lights out lately. Tyreek, I think, is in a great spot at 7,400. I like the Terry McLaurin call. I'll definitely be underweight on the Bengals receiver chalk. Like, I'll probably only play T. Higgins and Jamar Chase in lineups I'm playing Joe Burrow. Other than that, I think I'm going to fade them. I really like Sutton call. Jerry Jeudy is a guy that I absolutely love at 6,200. Like, as long as Tillman's out, this dude is a wide receiver one. At least 11 targets in 3 of his last 5 games. Hasn't gone any lower than 6 since October 20th. So Jerry Jeudy is getting wide receiver 1 targets right now. He looks really good. They're going to likely be down against Kansas City. I'll pair Shakir with Josh Allen. I'll pair Zay Flowers with Lamar Jackson. And then I'll get to some Jameson Williams, maybe a little Devonta Smith. But the guys in the 5K tier, I think I like the best. Marvin Harrison Jr., 5,500. Adam Thielen, 5,400. Just getting absolutely peppered with targets lately with Bryce Young playing better. Elijah Moore at 5K is probably my favorite cheap option, cheaper than those guys. I don't really want to go to the super cheap range this week unless I absolutely have to. De'Ami Brown, Kendrick Bourne, Booty, Jalen McMillan. These guys are all, I think, playable, but I don't really want to get there. Devon Vele is probably my favorite sub 5K.
Did you mention Amari Cooper?
No, but I did write him up. I do like him a lot this week.
Yeah, you were. I knew you were like, because he's got all the didn't he lead the league in air yards last week?
Yeah, 14 targets too. And Detroit, they're like top 3 against running backs and tight ends, and bottom 3 against receivers. So we'll see.
I look over at Pro Football Focus for matchup. They have AJ Brown as the best possible matchup, but 8K is kind of tough with everybody healthy, with Devontae, healthy in a matchup with Pitt. But that game could be kind of a sneaky shootout. They have Terry McLaurin's right up there. I love that play. Who else? Nico Collins. So a little overlap there. Trying to see what else? I hate the punt range too. There's just no need for it here, especially when we have like solid tight end punts like we can take there. Like Jalen. What about Jalen Waddle? Yes.
Yeah.
TJ mentioned him.
Thielen's one of my favorites on the slate.
Okay. Yep. Sorry, I missed that.
That's all right. It's tough.
You got Mike Williams in chat too. I think all the Pittsburgh receivers are viable as punts just because any of them can catch a 50-yard touchdown. I'm just personally not playing the Pittsburgh offense at all against Philadelphia. Their defense has been the best in the league over the last month.
Jameson Williams.
Yep, great spot.
All it takes is one.
He's been getting a ton of targets lately too.
Yeah.
Like he's not really just like gadget guy anymore.
No doubt. He's the clear
7 and 3 straight.
Clear wide receiver 2, even potential wide receiver 1 in matchups. But like you give him like just his floor with targets, and then you just take one big play upside. That's all he needs. Is what I'm saying.
I would rather, for what it's worth, I don't think it's crazy to do a Josh Allen, Amon-Ra, St. Brown, Jameson Williams stack. Like you'd really only ever think about playing 2 receivers with their own quarterback. But I don't think it's wild to play Williams and St. Brown together with Allen. I would just much rather play out. I understand Goff's cheaper, but I think the ceiling for Allen is just so much higher with that rushing upside. And I think there's a good chance Goff could throw 3 touchdowns, but still not be anywhere close to optimal. So I don't think it's crazy to play 2 Detroit receivers, or at least 2 Detroit players with a Josh Allen team.
Do you like Amari Cooper, TJ?
I will play him with Allen for sure, just because he's going to be low. He had 14 targets last week. Mm-hmm. I am afraid of Khalil Shakir and potentially Dalton Kincaid coming back, though. That does worry me, but he's only 5'3", so I'll definitely try it.
Yeah, he's only 5'3". That's the key there. And
I'm okay stacking with it. I'm okay naked Allen, but if I stack, I'll probably do Shakir Cooper.
I mean, we nailed it with the naked Allen last week.
I know. I'm so mad I didn't play him. If you're playing FanDuel, Elijah Moore, 4,700. That's like almost really salary.
I still like, okay, so this is what's standing out to me right now. Like all of these plays that we've talked about, did any of us say Mike Evans?
Yeah.
Okay. Missed that too. I was talking with chat, but so big Mike can play. What about Waddle?
I didn't mention Waddle, but I think he may be in the pool specifically for my Tua stacks. He's been getting more targets lately.
12 targets last week. 21 fantasy points, missed the 100-yard bonus by a yard, no touchdowns. Like there's so much meat on that bone.
Yeah.
In week 12, he went 31 fantasy points against New England, and nobody's been playing this guy, and they're still not going to play him. 5,700, like that's my range. Every week I say it. That's what I like. So this week I'm going to be all about like Marvin Harrison, Calvin Ridley, Jalen Waddle, like anyone in that range that has upside, you're in.
If legit, if I'm going to say play 5 Tua lineups this week, I basically just rotate it saying I want 3 of these guys, but I'll play 3 of HN, Waddle, Tyreek, and Smith in every lineup.
And
that has Tua.
Tyreek got his last week too. And Tua was chucking. So like, and no one ever likes to play Tua. Like, so we're back. I think we're back with the two Tyreek Waddle stacks. I think like all is right in the world again. Only took us 14 weeks. All right. Any other plays out there that you guys love that you want to mention? Or not even love, just kind of like?
You guys like Higgins down with A Rich all being so cheap feels like it has upside. I just don't think I get there.
Yeah. Same.
Yeah.
I like it though. Do you guys prefer Chase or Higgins?
I mean, I'm always Chase guy, but like I feel like it's got you go back this week to Higgins.
I probably don't have a lineup that only plays one of them, to be honest, because I'm probably either going to play both of them with Burrow or just fade it and play Chase Brown.
Yeah, favoritism. All right, let's move over to the tight end position. Top of the list is Trey McBride. The guy, like, absolute bust first half, and then the second half they just got him going, so he salvaged and what made up on very low scoring tight end week, especially for the chalk that he was the play you needed, and he only scored 14 fantasy points. Did get 14 targets, only had 7 receptions. Let me double check here quickly the matchups for Pro Football Focus. They have, for the matchup advantage, they've got Jonnu up there this week, and then Laporta, and then Trey McBride. Yeah, Bowers busted everybody last week. But so McBride, obviously great play. The cheap plays, Stone Smart, absolute athletic beast. Used to play quarterback, jacked, came right in when Disley went down, caught a couple of balls, looks the part, is only 2,600. Should be the tight end one for the Chargers in a good spot against Tampa Bay, like that. Brenton Strange, now that Evan Ingram is out for the season, is the next man up for 2,500. Had a couple of like salvageable games, usable games back in week 5 and week 8. Could be more on the table. Gets in the end zone, absolutely only 2,500. So those are your cheap punts. From there, you have Hunter Henry, you have Zach Ertz maybe, but who do you like, DJ?
Sorry, I just got distracted because I saw a stat that says Cooper Kupp ran 4.69 miles in that last game.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw a tweet on that. Yeah.
Most in NFL history for a Tony Snell game of 0, 0, and 0. It's the cheap punt tight end week with so many guys that we want to spend up for. By far the easiest thing to do is just pick one of these cheap tight ends and throw them in to save some salary. I think like you got Jordan Akins in there too if David Njoku doesn't play. So I think I would rank them Strange 1, Smart 2, Akins 3. But Akins is also probably going to be the far lower owned option of the group. So I do think he's interesting as long as David Njoku doesn't play. If he plays, you just throw him out the window. Noah Gray, 3,200, I think is super interesting. He's been playing a ton of snaps. They run so many 2 tight end formations. And so he's been getting targets. He's been getting snaps. He's got 4 catches in, I think it's 4 straight games. And they use him in the red zone. So Noah Gray, I think, is super interesting at 3,200. I have Jake Ferguson in my pool too, below 4K. I think he makes for a really good run back for Chuba Hubbard lineups. Zach Ertz at 4K, and then Jonnu and McBride will be the 2 spend up options I'm going to utilize. That's my whole pool at tight end this week. It's going to be pretty tight. 7 total players. Love
Jonnu. Gonna have to stop the show here for a second and let the Don Yeezy tell us. Jug Nation's Don Yeezy is talking about a hair dye narrative. I have heard nothing about it.
Very curious.
Let's elaborate on it. Anyone who knows, let us know. And we love a good narrative. Noto loves a good hair dye narrative, considering he used to do the frosted tips back in the day.
Yeah.
His kid has the frosted little one has the frosted tips. So love that. And I'm sure Canadians like the frosted tips too, throughout the years. I'm not sure about it currently, but I'm sure it's been in the repertoire, no?
Oh, so he bet his teammate he'd finish top 4 tight end this season. So I'm guessing he has to dye his hair if he doesn't finish top 4.
I never personally had the frosted tips because I think they were. I just missed the fad a little bit. I was a little too young. Maybe I had them as a little kid, but I definitely, with older sisters, grew up heavily in the boy band era. So I've seen some frosted tips in my day.
Woo. And no one likes frosted tips better than our own Bobby Gomes, who's in chat. Love the frosted tips. And people are asking him if he was part of the cuts. No, like we said at the beginning of the show, Bobby's just had some personal stuff to deal with, and then his computer broke, so he had to get a new computer and everything. So he should be back next week, and he's in chat right now. So hit him up in chat and tell him you miss him.
Yeah, DM in for your season-long questions.
Yeah, that's right. He came in here. He wants to take all your season-long questions. So DM him on Twitter. You can find. I think it's. What's his Twitter? It's at Bobby Gomes, DFS, I think it is. And just start and sit questions, 2v2s, 3v3s, those kind of things. He loves all of them.
Ooh, we got more narratives in the chat, too.
What's another one?
T. Higgins was born in Tennessee. Jaden Daniels homecoming. Louisiana.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the Jaden. I think he's going to go nuts, actually. And he's so low owned. I think, and he's an easy pairing with McLaurin. I think that's the path. But I'll tell you, a tight end that's the could be the and I always go down with this guy, but he is an athletic freak. He is only 2,900. He's a good pivot off of Smart and Strange. Problem is, he has Will Levis as a quarterback, but it's a top 5 matchup against Cincinnati. I'm always on my boy Chig, so he's somebody I kind of like this week.
Play him with Levis.
Yeah,
I'm not playing.
I will have a lineup in the Millie Maker probably that is Levis, Okongwu, Westbrook Akine, Ridley, Chase Brown, and then one of Jamar Chase or T. Higgins.
Anything, but I stopped listening if you say Levis. It's completely dead.
I also did pause a really long time after saying Levis, so that didn't help.
But no. Who else?
Yeah, I like the cheap guys a lot. I like Smart. I like Strange. If you're paying up, go to McBride. One other guy I'll probably play some of, Zach Ertz. We mentioned Jaden Daniels. Just he gets there every week. He gets like 12 plus. He's doesn't have the yards after catch, so we're kind of looking for sometimes, but he's getting targets and he's only 4,000.
All right. Seems like a very fun slate. Bobby, chime in with your favorite defense if you have one. But defense from a chalk perspective, there's nothing too bad this week. I think people are going to gravitate towards the Cardinals because playing New England and Drake May, and they're at home, and they're only 3K. It's playable. But if you wanted to dumpster dive a little bit, the Browns at 2,200, the Browns still have a decent defense, and the Chiefs have not looked the same. And it is in Cleveland, which should help. There's talk about the Panthers are getting some love. The Ravens are the spend up against. Are we going back to Tommy Cutlets, or is it still Lock again?
Yeah, it's Tommy Cutlets.
Yeah, it's good going back now. Yeah, so that's a play with that horrible offense, like just a terrible offensive line. And yes, the Ravens defense is not what it used to be, but certainly this matchup that's a strong play. If you do have the salary to spend up, I never do it, but that's what killed me last week. I went, at least on in Yahoo, I went up and spend up to New Orleans, and that's why I played Levis. Who else is there? Another cheapie, maybe the Titans. I don't know. You guys like anybody?
It's very scary, but I do have a very clear favorite defense on the slate.
Let's
and
go.
The Cleveland Browns at 2,200 against the Chiefs.
Yep.
I like them too.
How low can you go? That's my type of play.
Yeah, super cheap. They have a great pass rush, and Mahomes is getting sacked at a career high rate.
No, you got one? A different one?
No, I was going to bring up the Browns. If you're playing Henry, I don't mind playing the Ravens with him. 3,900 for a D just doesn't feel great, though.
My favorite spend up, I think, is $3,400 Washington Commanders going up against Jake Haener and the Saints.
Yeah, he stinks.
Not electric.
He is not in the electric pool. He is in the stinks pool. All right, let's build a lineup. Where are we starting it off with at quarterback? I kind of think we should try to take one of these like lower owned, higher end, like Jaden is kind of the guy I kind of like, but I'm open to whatever you guys say.
I'd be down for Josh Allen.
All right.
Yeah.
Noto?
He hooked us up last week. Let's go back to Josh.
Okay. So we're going to be kind of like that lower range on for running backs, most likely. So are we just going to take the chalk with Chuba, or are we going to take Rico? Or I know TJ is going to use his favoritism Canadian and say Chase Brown. But Noto, what do you think?
Let's go Chuba. I know TJ likes, if he gets those 18.5 carries, if he gets over there, he's going to smash.
All right. TJ, take the other one.
Chase Brown.
Oh, so predictable. These Canadians. All right, wide receiver. Who are we going naked, or we got to take Amari Cooper? Huh?
I'm good with taking Cooper just because we need salary savings and he's cheap as well.
It's in the dome. He could absolutely break one. All right, and then where are we going?
Let's go. Like if we plug the Browns in and look at what cheap tight end do we like best, because then we'll kind of see how much salary we have left for the rest.
I just built our team. So I said we go the cheap range. We gotta stay in that cheap range. Do we want to bring back on Detroit?
Monroe, we can.
Huh?
Monroe?
I don't think we can. I think we can go JMO.
That's fine.
Or we can take one of the running backs in the flex. How much is a Monroe?
76.
We can do a Monra if we go super cheap tight end, super cheap defense. It leaves us 5,100 for our last two positions, which does make it tough to spend up for a running back. And so like there are a lot more options with Amon-Ra, or a lot more options with Jameson Williams, but it is doable with Amon-Ra.
Well, how much is Gibbs? 60. Let's see.
Yeah, Gibbs is equally tough to Amon-Ra.
How much is Monty is too. Man, Gibbs is gonna smash. All right, let's try JMO.
If we go
executive decision here.
Where is he? JMO and Shakir. It would allow us to afford Dowdle. If we want to go cheaper than Shakir, we can afford basically any of the other running backs we want.
All right, and we can't fill the positions anyway, but 1 second. I'm plugging in JMO, spitting out. Okay. I mean, so this way we could go if we go. So you want to play Shakir and Cooper, a double stack?
Could, but don't have to. Just like an option that would like it fits nice with.
Well, we can do. I got another fit too, and we could take either. So we could go Allen, Chuba, Rico, Allen to Cooper, bring back JMO, and then if we dumpster dive to Strange at tight end, we can put Chase Brown in the flex. And then we have enough to pay for a cheap D and Brian Thomas or Calvin Ridley.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Take your pick there. Both super strong plays. All right. That's a wrap. I'm not going to give a lock of the week for UFC because I forced it last week. Stupid J3 in there put me on and said it had to be a lock. Obviously, a plus 200 wasn't a lock. He had the fight. He should have won it. He made a big mistake in the third that cost him at the position, and he ended up losing 2-1. But this week, I am on my bets.
You gotta shout it out quick that RotoGrinders team had a really, really solid week last week. I threw in one lineup. It was the first time I've played in months, and I ended up 10xing it.
I didn't know that because I thought you told me you weren't going to be playing because you were.
I took the guy that you said who was a good underdog who even though he didn't win scored.
Yeah, he scored like 40 something. He should have won.
He had like 68. He finished with. Yeah. And then I played a bunch of Mike's H3 Buddha's core tags, and he shipped everything. He took down the live final. He took down all of the big tournaments. He took down the whole thing.
Buddha. Shout out to Buddha. Boston, one of Boston's finest as well. All right. So my plays are who I bet on Sean Woodson. I don't think he's a great DraftKings play. I think he's a great bet. I also bet on Miranda Maverick. This is for a parlay filler. I think it's an easy cake. You can also take her handicap on DraftKings. I'm going to bet on Kobe Covington. He might be washed. But man, if he's anything like the old Cunningham, he should be able to avoid damage and put a pace on Buckley. But I won't be surprised if I lose. But I think the price is too long. Might be washed. It might go down, but you gotta play him. And also Michael Johnson at -230. So a parlay of Woodson and Michael Johnson is really, really strong in my opinion. That's it. That's all I got. Any final words for the people, boys?
J3 asked for my UFC lock of the week as well. Now, again, this is prefaced with me knowing absolutely nothing about UFC, but it's Davy Grant.
I hit two I hit a $50 parlay that paid 6,000 and a $50 parlay that paid 2,500 last week. I did all subs. I hit all 4 subs. It was a thing of beauty. But I need to cook up some more for this one. But last fight card of the year for us. And then we got some bangers in January. So you're going to be back in January no matter what, TJ. And Noto. We got to get Noto into the UFC streets.
I know. I played everything else, but hey, bad news. Keon Coleman's back. Does that change our Mari Cooper love?
No, I was kind of assuming he was in.
Yeah,
so.
I was assuming it anyway. I think it's like so that's why we can play a naked Josh Allen because there's just too many weapons there, and he may do it. But like, there is massive upside in a dome with Amari Cooper. Like, there's huge play upside there. He's 5,300. He got a massive amount of targets last week. Like, it's there.
I might be out.
You're out now with Keon? All right.
Anyway.
Naked Josh then. All right. That's it. That's a wrap. Thank you for tuning in. Chug Nation, everyone else. Hope you guys crush. Hope TJ crush. I hope Noto continues to crush. And let's have a solid week. So this has been the RG DFS Tournament Takes podcast. It's week 15 this week? Is that correct?
That's right.
Damn. And we will be back again next week. Thank you.
Woo!